Part of the formula for economic development, you have to focus on quality of life. You have to give people, young people especially, something to do.
Thought Leaders is sponsored by Eastern Gateway Community College. With more than 35 programs, Eastern Gateway can help you with your career preparation and transfer plans.
I know one of your passions actually has been the Mahoning River Restoration
Yes.
Project. So how did Eastgate get involved in that, and what does that look like, that project?
Yeah, that is a great project when we sit back, because we could actually see the river from this office here. That started with the mayors of the Mahoning River Association that was within the Port Authority. They met and they were all trying to make a difference with the river. You have 9 dams, 6 different communities, and everybody was trying to get their dam out and trying to talk to the EPA, trying to get engineering work, trying to get anything they can to get it to stick. We got involved, we knew some of the projects, and we tried to just reach out and offer to be project managers for them. And we just convinced them, and we would take the lead on it, where we would turn around and be the one voice to the EPA, one voice to the federal government, or any funding source, trying to bring that money back, and really kind of developed a plan that started downstream with the village of Lowville and the work Mayor Duciani's done, and worked our way upstream. We've fortunate that Lowville has their dam that's under, I like to call it deconstruction, because we're taking it down. City of Struthers is going to sell their project next. Then we have the 3 in Youngstown that will go next summer, and they're totally funded. So we actually will have 5 dams out of the river by the end of 2021.
Explain why there are so many dams in the river for those who don't know.
That's a great question, and I will tell you that I've lived in this area all my life. I grew up hearing from my mother that you can't go in the Mahoning River because it can catch on fire. And that's true stories. There was times when the EPA reported that the river was 120 degrees. And what happened was the steel mills that line the Mahoning River built dams nearly a century ago to trap the water. The water would be dragged into the mills, cool the steel, and then dumped back out. The stuff that was dumped back out was toxic. Now we're paying the price of being the 2nd largest steel producing region, only second to Pittsburgh. 100 years ago, now we're stuck with a river that needs to be cleaned. Since, unfortunately, the steel mills went away, but we're left with a dirty river, through the last, I want to say, 30, 40 years, it's starting to clean itself, but at a very slow pace. You can go in the river, you could actually fish the river now. It's to that point when it comes to being clean, but it's not where we want it to be. And to accelerate that effort, you got to get the dams out of the river so it becomes a free-flowing river. But what's important too is to dredge behind all the dams so that we get the toxins out of the river. So what's costly in each one of these dams are probably costing us $3 million. Is these probably got $2.5 million of taking the dredging material, dredging it, taking the material, let it dry, and then take it to a special landfill. But once that's completed, the river will be a free-flowing state, and it'll be hopefully enjoyed by everybody in the community.
And that's what I was going to say. I mean, obviously, environmentally, we want the river to be clean, but this could have a big impact too on growing the city and having younger people stay in the area, correct?
Yes, it is. It's really the essence of quality of life. Part of the formula for economic development, you have to focus on quality of life. You have to give people, young people especially, something to do. A clean river with kayaks or any opportunity along the river for development where you can turn around and maybe have a restaurant. Everybody seems to gravitate to a patio during the summer and fall, and even this time of the year wants to sit out, wants to watch water flow and have a drink and enjoy that. So we want to be able to let people enjoy the outdoors. We think enhancing the river, cleaning the river, and then spurring some type of economic development along the river is our focus as we move. So quality of life issue.
So you're looking at development all the way down the river, potentially with restaurants or recreational type of activity.
Yeah, we want kayak and canoe launches. We want whatever it brings into a river, but the focus again on restaurants and bars and along the river, ice cream stands, you name it, we're looking for that. We have a consultant contract out right now that we're looking to bring somebody on board that's going to analyze all 26 miles of the river, focus on pockets of development that we could spur it early and then grow from there. I think you're going to see what they've done in Lowville is already up and running, where they got development coming. We're going to look at the other cities, the connection to Struthers, the connection to Youngstown, the connection to Girard, and then when we get into Warren, those opportunities too. Those would be the initial focus point, but we have a contract that'll be out there very soon that'll get us results and tell us how to focus and how to develop those areas.
So realistically, when do you think we could see some of this happen? When do you think we'll have restaurants on the river?
Well, I hope I can tell you soon. I know that Lowville's, again, with their efforts, is up and running. They're the first one of the dams to be removed. We think it's exciting that Youngstown's looking at some opportunities right now. Warren's with the dam and the river right there in the downtown area. That's a great opportunity. We're starting to see some interest. There's a winery now along the Mahoning River over there in Warren. So those are what we're looking for. We hope people get that interest and get more interested.
And you're also talking about a bicycle path being woven into this whole plan.
That's a great comment. We want to have a trail that runs for the 26 miles. We just don't want it to be the pockets of the city. A water trail, any type of walking path, all is good for us. Again, I don't know what, I say it a lot, I don't know what I don't know, but we're waiting for the experts to come in and tell us what we can do to those parts of the river to make them more economical.
Is that privately owned land on either side of the river, or is there?
No, it's public waterway. It's owned by the Department of Natural Resources. So it's public waterway. The banks are privately owned. We'll work on that. The cities might own some of them. It's kind of pieced together, as you can imagine, in 26 miles. But to get the dams out, we have to make them public right-of-way. So those areas are certainly that. Different. It's chopped up in different areas where it is ODNR or city or village or what have you. Those areas are public.
All right, recently we have heard a lot about this Hyperloop potentially. Are you involved in that at all, as far as really taking a look at that?
Yeah, we are. We're excited to be part of the technical advisory committee that's started at our sister agency in Cleveland called NOACA. They're carrying the torch to take a look at phase one from Cleveland to Chicago, to put a Hyperloop in that'll shoot pods in an enclosed capsule or track, tubes I should say, that reach speeds of over 600 miles an hour. And they're saying times to get to Chicago from Cleveland would be 23 minutes, which is just crazy to think of. But phase two really wants to focus on coming. It has a couple different segments that'll run, and one would be Cleveland to Pittsburgh and go through Youngstown. So we're excited to be part of that planning process, and we want to see where it goes too. We're just like everybody else. When you hear it, sounds like I'm watching the Jetsons or something.
Yeah, so would that be public-private financing?
Without a doubt, it'll be public-private financing. It's very high price tag, as anybody can imagine. It's hundreds of miles long, enclosed tubes need to all be built. So it's not going to happen tomorrow, but you have to start somewhere, and we're starting to plan for it. I think the best case scenario I heard from Cleveland to Chicago was 10 years. That's aggressive to get that up and running in 10 years.
For the first part of it.
For the first part of it. But I think what's important is we keep our eye on it here, and we are actively looking to see how Youngstown can be involved and how we can be involved when it happens in Cleveland.
And would that be underground or over? Or?
A little bit of everything. They haven't ruled anything out. As you can imagine, going 600 miles an hour, you can't turn very quickly, and you can't climb or go down very fast when it comes to grade changes. The original thought was to stay above ground, but there will be times where they have to go under. I know the last drawing I seen to get to Chicago had to go under one of the Great Lakes for a little bit of time. So quite an effort to pull that off. I know the focus also when they're trying to go, we took a look at one of the corridors, it's just a turnpike corridor because it seems to be more of a straight shot. So everything's still in the planning phases, and we want to see how it progresses.
So is there a similar project even further ahead anywhere in the United States, out in LA or
No, there's been a couple of places they got test track. They got a test track, and I think it's only a couple miles long in the desert area of Las Vegas. I know in Europe there's another test track where they're just testing the technology to see how it works. But again, it's great to have the state of Ohio in the forefront, and it's great for this region to be part of it. So what's exciting to me is I know that the initial draw is to put people and get people to Chicago in 23 minutes, but I really think the future of that initially should focus on freight and moving cargo quicker from the East Coast and Midwest. I don't think that's as pretty of a talk when people talk about it, but the way the trucking industry is exploding, I think that'd be the first look. And I think they're going to make it so that you can do both.
And would it be economically feasible for the average person or even for people who want to move freight?
Sure. I don't know what the freight numbers are. I did hear it'd be sort of like a plane ticket price tag. I think they got to get that cost down if they want people to take advantage of it. But those are still part of the feasibility study that they're taking a look at.
So we're looking at 2040 something probably for this.
Well, they said 10 years best case, so I think it's 2030 plus or something like that out there.
All right, yeah.
But it's going to be exciting to track. It's going to be exciting to be part of it, and someday I hope it's up and running.
Thought Leaders is sponsored by Eastern Gateway Community College. With more than 35 programs, Eastern Gateway can help you with your career preparation and transfer plans.